Cheryl!
Now on, if anyone makes fun of me, I'll kill him! Just like
So welcome back. You know the agenda at this point. I am Robot, talk about horror games from 10 years ago, beep boop beep. Honestly though, we have a really super innovative game that kinda shows off its age a bit roughly. So let's take a look at what the game does right, and what the game does, well, old.
Let me start by saying I've known about this game for fucking ever. As someone who literally dedicates a series about horror games, I have obviously been well aware of the damn game, but I've never played it up until now. I actually played the sequel too. Finally, my friend Sup Guys let me borrow the game. It is an extremely innovative game, and it was a 360 launch game, released November 16th, 2005 for the 360, and a few months later for the PC. So coming out only a few days after the 360's initial release, this game, for its time, is fucking stellar. A crime-based, melee-centric, first-person brawler horror game. That's a fucking mouthful. Time has not been kind to this game though. Like most launch game, it looks like butt. Except for certain aspects. The textures look pretty bad most of the time. The character models, oh god, they're horrendous. Everyone looks like a super big blocky fuck. It kinda reminds me of early PS1 titles. One thing that is still really good is the lighting. Color me impressed on some of these shots. Visually speaking, the game is old. Not only that, the performance is pretty shit too. Again, I know, launch game, but holy balls. I would think the game looking so bad would allow for a good frame rate. Nope, runs like 60 frames a second like 3 times the entire game, and drops like the mid-20s at other times. It's just all over the place. So getting over the superficial problems, how's the game part of the game?
It's good. The combat's good. It has its issues, but it's functional. The sounds, on the other hand, are superb. Hitting dudes in the heads with boards and other miscellaneous things you find in the environment sounds so good. Now, as for the detective parts, they're actually pretty interesting. It's not how it's done, but Jesus Christ, could you imagine? Just shooting lasers at shit, I know who you are!
Hitting dudes in the head with boards has never been so satisfying. Actually, it has. I'm sure I'll get a lot of flack for this, but I found the combat less than stellar. It seems to get its dick sucked a lot for this part, but I didn't find it that amazing. It sounds super satisfying, but feels like it's missing depth. Allow me to explain myself before you rage and get butthurt. The whole concept of switching out weapons for certain situations is fucking genius. Harken back to Metroid, where you needed a specific tool for a certain job, is used really brilliantly here. Also, each weapon has its own stats. Some are quick but weak. Others may be slower but have more reach. Or you have the hard hitters that are slow as fuck but speak for themselves in terms of damage. This creates a great dynamic in the game, but how it's all executed is where they kinda drop the ball. Attacking is always a one-hit swing. There's no specific timing to pull off a combo or varying degrees of how your attack will flow. No light, heavy, or stun attacks. Just pull the right trigger and let her rip. Usually this wouldn't be a problem, but there are certain weapons that do have other attack animations that are, to my knowledge, completely random. Instead of swinging the weapon, Ethan will use the butt of the weapon to smash him in the face. So many times though, he did this when I was way too far away for the attack to even register. So now I'm completely open to any incoming attack since he decided not to swing the axe, but just bop him in the noggin. God damn it! It's erratic and hard to get the grasp of. The counters are also fine. Each weapon has a speed in which you can block, but the hit detection is shoddy at times. The PC version is worse for this. Sometimes I clearly should have blocked it, but nope. Fuck your couch.
On the other hand, gunplay is handled really well. First off, guns are rare. You seldomly encounter them, and when you do, there's only a few bullets left in the clip. There's no spare ammo, no reloading, nothing. You have to manually check your ammo too by pulling up the clip or pulling back the slide, which This is fucking awesome!
This is really awesome. Also, for added immersion, you can turn off the crosshair. God damn, this is fucking cool. As cliche as it sounds now, I think the only thing that could have improved would have been adding iron sights aiming. The gunplay is handled really well for a melee-based game. The melee combat isn't bad, just not the wow factor people have made it out to be. The sounds are super satisfying, but the actual feel of it isn't as good as I'd hoped. The story parts were a bit hard to follow, but that is also due in part to me just kinda half-ass paying attention. You play as Ethan Thomas, an SCU detective working for the FBI. Ethan has this supernatural ability to be really good at his job. The game boils down to a serial killer that tracks your progress and who you're tracking and kills the killers you're tracking. During all this time, there's this strange, how do I put this, disorder that is manifesting throughout this fictional town. This disorder causes birds' brains to dissolve and vagrants to become far more beefed up and aggressive. Ethan also starts becoming affected by this disorder and having hallucinations. So during the climax, this weird monster guy is the cause of this dysfunction in people and the birds. You fuck him up. The guy that's been helping you all along turns out to be the uncle of the serial killer's serial killer. You're given an option to kill him or let it live. Trick question, he dies anyway. At the end of the game, everyone is a little confused, and rightly so. But Ethan can't really explain it since Rosa's wearing a wire. He goes to the bathroom and it's revealed Ethan's still being affected by the disorder. Oh no. The story is kind of weird to follow, but it's there. If there was one thing I wish they would have done is making the detective parts a little more involved. It kinda just holds your hand and tells you what tool to pull out and when.
The story elements aren't spectacular, but for its time it was a really fresh idea. Here's where Condemned shines though. It is so original and just set up so much groundwork for the future. This game came out in 2005 and was super innovative and full of interesting mechanics.
This game is a rare breed of survival horror-like detective game mixed with melee combat. The whole checking the ammo manually was something I've never seen in any other game. Grabbing weapons straight from the environment was genius and super immersive. The whole inanimate object tracking you thing, to my knowledge, started with this game. You could also argue the whole mannequin thing was influenced by Silent Hill 3 though. Bringing in detective elements in such a modern fashion was unheard of. Of course there were those old ass PC games where you did detective shit, but those were fucking boring. Now I'm using lights, lasers, and smelloscope. Shit's involving. It was also one of the first games having the first person perspective, making melee the focus. One thing they did really well was the atmosphere. It's so fucking good. Seriously, this is like Silent Hill 3 level atmosphere. Everything looks so imposing. The environments look dingy and grimy as fuck. Everything looks utterly disgusting. The city's like fucking Flint times 3. It is excellent. The rundown Christmas shop is so realistically abandoned.
What's going on? You will be tested, Thomas.
The atmosphere is really good. But for the enemies, they're just dudes. The back of the box touts advanced AI, which is a bit questionable to me, but they do some really cool shit, like they actually hide, as in you can't see them, and it can be kind of tense when you can't find the enemy you're looking for and they just pop around the corner and just fuck you up.
Therein lies the problem though. That's all they want to do a lot of the time. Ethan, the blocky fuck he is, walks everywhere. I hate when games make me move so slow. So now I'm trying my best to keep up with these fast fucks while I slowly trail behind them. It gets old quick when every enemy prefers to hide than just man up and face me. On the other hand, a really fun thing is the full-out brawls between you and groups of enemies. It's not just a gang up on Ethan, it's a full-out brawl where everyone is just hitting people in the heads with boards, pipes, and sledgehammers. These are really fun and so fucking satisfying. It's a shame there aren't more of them. The way the enemies don't focus on just one single person seems really natural. I really think if they added more depth and speed to the combat, this could have been one of the best games on the 360. Now I haven't played the second game in fucking years, so I don't really remember how well it fares, but I do remember really liking it a lot. But we'll get to that later. The only thing that was a bit dumb in terms of the enemies is some of them are just wacky looking. Seeing these terminally ill people with boards crawling around is just silly looking. Weirdly enough though, these are the ones that managed to make me jump the most. Half the time I'd be fighting dudes and these little fuckers would come crawling up on me, coming from out of nowhere, hissing in my ear. It made me poop a couple times, not gonna lie.
So finally playing this game 10 years after its release, what do I think of it? Well, let's put it this way. It's interesting. It was super innovative, full of fresh ideas, a really good atmosphere, and some semi-fun combat. Its biggest problem was just aging less than gracefully. The combat feels clunky at times, the hit detection can cause the blocking to be kind of frustrating, the graphics, besides the lighting, look like butt. The story was a bit confusing and hard to follow at times, but was interesting enough. The game feels really linear, and there's no real replay value to it either. I also had to play the game in increments because it kind of drones on after a while. All in all though, this game is totally worth playing just for its historical significance. I don't really have any intent of ever playing the game again, but I'm glad I did. So until next time, we're getting to the sequel because I'm actually super curious to see how well it's held up. So until next time.